So this is hey Jose, this is a special unscheduled live. Hey Phil, it's unscheduled. That's easily enough explained. It's special because we've been experiencing these large overnight drone and missile strikes. And I see little Red is here. I see a few other people that I know were on the live earlier tonight, on the regular live at 5. And you guys, as the live was starting, you heard the air alarms sounding here in Kyiv. Now, it's just about 2 a.m. here now, and I was literally just about to go to bed when air defense began firing. So at this juncture, I've heard a few distant retorts of air defense, and I believe that I heard a drone. Now, the fact that I heard a drone is an unusual circumstance here in where I am. I'm right in the heart of Kyiv. I'm less than a mile from the presidential residence. We're in the best protected airspace that there is in Ukraine. So if I'm right, and if I did hear something, that means that it's another large-scale attack, because we don't get penetrations of drones into uptown Kyiv here unless there's a lot of drones coming in. Too much for the guys to handle. So I thought I might take this opportunity to get back on the live and give you some idea of what's happening as it happens moment by moment. Because for 4 million Kyivans, this is like a daily occurrence. This has nothing to do, I want to highlight this. This is not some kind of retribution for the attacks on the heavy bombers. This is just what Russia does every day. And the impact that it has on the lives of the people here is a real thing. I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes, but I'm tired, man. I'm tired. So, as I was saying, for you, if you were on the live earlier, you heard the air alarm sound. Now, here we are a couple hours later, and if you listen, you may be able to hear the retort of air defense in the distance as the mobile defense units attempt to shoot down the Shaheds that are coming in. And kind of what this is like. It's different for me, of course, because I'm a foreigner. I don't live here. I don't have my mother to worry about in an apartment on the left bank. I don't have my children to worry about getting to school safely. I don't have those worries. But those are the real worries every day for the people that live here and that live under this constant stress of the ongoing terror campaign that the Russian Federation exerts against the Ukrainian people. Because these overnight drone attacks target civilian energy infrastructure. I mean, look at the attacks the other day. Civilian energy infrastructure, a school, a bus terminal, some trolleys. These are civilian targets. Thanks, Steve. These are civilian targets. You look at the targets that Ukraine hit last night in their drone attack on Russia, and it's the military-industrial complex of the Russian Federation. They're clearly targeting the means of production of war materiel inside Russia in an effort to reduce Russia's ability to prosecute this war. if you listen, I'm not sure what that is. That's a different kind of noise from what I'm used to. You know, the rat-a-tat-tat of the Gepards and the autocannons, those are familiar sounds. This is almost like, it's almost got a quality of distant thunder to it. I'm not sure what that was. Now that pop, that was very definitely a Shahed drone. There's no doubt in my mind. That's another Shahed. That's another Shahed. Now you can tell that they were close because, do you hear all the car alarms going off now? That only happens when they're like in the neighborhood. So that sounded like 4 hits in a... Now see, there's that noise again. There's no way. There's no way. No. Boy, I'm going to be eating my words. All those times that I made fun of the Russians for Oreshnik being bullshit if they hit us with Oreshnik tonight. Because that's an unusual sound. And the Oreshnik, so the Oreshnik is an intermediate range ballistic missile. It's got a warhead that's got 36 re-entry vehicles on it. And they come in at hypersonic speeds, like up to 11 times the speed of sound. And they come in 4 at a time. So yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Are those drones made by the Iranians? So as I understand it, W42, the Shahed was manufactured originally by the Iranians. But what the Russians are doing today is they're assembling the Shaheds inside of Russia. The Iranians send them the parts, they assemble those. They're also producing their own like licensed copy that they call the Garon or the Garon 2. But they're producing them inside Russia today. And a year ago, they were able to produce 500 a month. Today, they are producing 2,700 a month, plus another 2,700 a month of decoys, versions of the attack drones with no warhead. So their production of the attack drones in the last year has increased 500%, 5 times. And in addition to that, there's an equal number of decoys that they're producing today. Oh, now listen to that. No, it stopped. Sometimes when you get that, there's the Doppler effect, right? That as the ambulance gets closer, it appears to get louder and the frequency seems to go up. And then as it goes away, the frequency seems to get less and it gets softer, quieter. And you get that effect with the drones when they accelerate into an attack dive. So you get a... And I thought I heard the beginning of that, but it wasn't. I'm not sure what it was. Do we hear this a lot? Just every night, Cam. Just every night, right? Like when it's possible and the air alarm goes off, I always try to make a video. This is your daily reminder that the war in Ukraine continues unabated because it keeps going on. I'm good. I'm safer than most Ukrainians because I'm in the best defended airspace in Ukraine, right? That's the reality of my situation. So I'm in as safe a place, well, I mean, I guess I could go to a shelter, but then I couldn't do this. And plus, I'm not very good on concrete. And like those days are over for me. So I'm in my apartment. Hey, Sergey. What do you mean not during the day, Altered Carbon? Because we get air alarms during the day too. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Guys, the chat does scroll pretty fast. So if you've asked a question and I haven't answered it, I haven't seen it. If you'd be so good as to ask it again, I'll try to answer it. Daytime attacks are less common. They do happen. But nighttime attacks are preferred because it's harder to find the drones. They fly them low to avoid radar detection. Harder to target them. That was the thing, you know, in the United States when everybody was freaking out about the drones, remember? The first thing I thought is I wouldn't worry about it because if anybody was up to something nefarious, the first thing they would do is they would turn the fucking lights off on them. These drones don't have any lights on them, for crying out loud. The worst part for me about daytime attacks is the kids. Because like all Soviet-style apartment complexes, right? Like you have these huge apartment blocks that literally take up the whole block. And then in the middle, you have a kindergarten and an elementary school, usually up to about 4th grade. So just like every other apartment block in Kyiv with 50,000 residents, there's a kindergarten and elementary school behind the house here. And the kids rotate out in shifts on recess. And if the air alert comes during recess, it really hits hard when the kids start shouting and running inside, knowing that they are afraid. That is the really terrifying thing about daytime attacks. I would argue. Oh, now listen. That's air defense. That's outgoing fire. Boy, I keep thinking I hear that, but it's something. It must be something else. Okay. Do they do it of a night to make sure people are in their beds when they hit homes? Bernard, you're not wrong about that, right? But I think it's less about, you know, unaliving grandmothers in their beds, which happens on an almost daily basis here in Ukraine, or children. It is less about that than it is about making sure that those parents and their kids spend the night in a bathtub trying to sleep so that everybody is exhausted the next day and cannot do the work of the nation. That's the nature of this terror campaign. They do it at night so that the next day we are all exhausted. Do you have an escape plan, like in case they push through? Who, the Russians? Oh, please. Well, okay. No, it's a fair question. It's a legitimate question. So the first thing to understand is that I'm 200 miles from the front line. Even if they were to make a breakthrough of the front line, it would be months before they were able to get here. Months at minimum. The Ukrainian lines show no risk of buckling at this point. So that's the first thing. The second thing, so the short answer to your question is no, I don't have an escape plan because I don't think I'm going anywhere. I absolutely don't. Do I miss Erie? Sometimes, Art. Walking on those sandy beaches in the autumn sunshine when all the leaves have turned to gold and red. Yeah. I have been in Ukraine now for 2 years, 3 months, and 15 days. 2 weeks and 1 day. How close are you from attacks? From the front line, I'm hundreds of miles. From the attacks could be anywhere. We've had Iskander missiles come down, not in my block, but the block over in the park in the back there. We had an Iskander missile shot down there. Yeah, no, sorry, Cody. It was a fair question. I'm sorry that I. When you live in your own life, you take a lot of things for granted. And one of the reasons I wanted to get on here was to try to dispel some of the assumptions about living here and what the attacks are like and how they are ongoing. So no, it was a very fair question. I'm sorry that I was a little terse. Nate Dogg. I used to know somebody that went by that name. Do you think they'll nuke Kyiv? If I thought they would nuke Kyiv, I wouldn't stay, to be honest. So no, when you hear me talking shit about the Russian nuclear stockpile and how I think it's all a bunch of worthless pile of junk, I literally have bet my life on that. Hey, Michael Kistner. How many strands of hair? There we go. Now see, Commander Cody, how many strands of hair do you have? That was a stupid question. That person is now blocked and will not be welcomed back. Why do I stay in Ukraine? I stay in Ukraine because what's happening out there right now is the most important thing happening in the world. There's just no two ways about it. This is everybody who in the United States is staring aghast at the takeover of our federal system by a bunch of fascists in service to the Kremlin needs to take a lesson from Ukraine. Here, people are actually fighting and dying for their right to live in a democracy, while we surrender those rights to the cheers of YMCA. Give me a break. This is the most important thing happening here. And I'll tell, oh, listen. Can you hear that? That like 2-engine cycle moped whine. Hear it? Very unusual. Because that has to be pretty close. That's air defense trying to shoot it down. So that's Kyiv. I'm in downtown Kyiv. And yeah, but guys, this is every single day for the last 2 years, 3 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day, right? Since I have been here. It is virtually every single day. That is the point of this special live. Yeah, Roy, because it's a big air attack tonight. And I wanted people to hear it, to feel it, to make it real. I was going to go to bed, Pingu, but then the air defense started. Right, Commander Cody, that's exactly why I wanted to do this. Right, so it's not just a factual deadpan, objective news report. But viscerally, you can see the response, right, when I jump because it's so close. Or if the house shakes, which does happen. And I live in a 15-story apartment block. And I'll tell you, the one day the whole building must have moved almost a half inch. Like, ugh. Unbelievable. Yeah, Roy. Well, Roy Daniel says, reminds me of the buzz bomb in World War II. Bobby's always saying that I remind him of Edward R. Murrow, which I don't think I do. But that was a guy who in the London Blitz let the listeners in America hear the bombs dropping, brought it into their living rooms. And so as a pale shadow of that experience, I was hoping to bring some of that experience to you tonight. I'm in Kyiv, Cynthia. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go to a shelter, Lisa. But thank you for your concern. Isn't Ukraine being... Ukraine... I mean, you can't be serious. Right? Like, you can't be a real person. You have to be a paid troll of the Russians to say something like that. Commander Cody, on the subject of stupid questions, listen to this. Isn't Ukraine being used as a proxy war for the West against Russia? America took over Ukraine in 2014. The level of willful ignorance it takes to believe such a thing. Or you just have to be in the pocket of the Russians. You have to be a paid propagandist to say something like that. Tatanka Wasaka. It's like that every day, bud. You just happen to be on for it, that's all. My family doesn't believe I'm here. I'm not interested in going to a bunker. My family, they're not well people, I'm afraid. They don't really live in the world that we live in. And it's too bad. Why does Russia expend so much effort to attack civilian targets instead of defensive positions? It is Russia's goal. Like any sadist in a sadomasochistic relationship, what they require from Ukraine is submission. Not the land so much, not the people. What they require is obedience and submission to the will of the Kremlin. That's all they're interested in. Lavrov is whining that Britain is 100% helping. He is wrong. Almost all of Europe is helping. That's a good point, Aces High. Almost all of Europe is helping. But certainly the British have been out there in the forefront, along with the French and the Germans and the Danes and the Baltics. How am I so relaxed? I am not relaxed, Cam. I assure you. But if I appear relaxed, it's because I genuinely believe that I can do some good this way. That if you hearing what's really happening here now in real time at 2:18 a.m., June 10th, 2025, day 1203 of the obscene war of aggression by the Russian Federation against the people of Ukraine. If I can help drive that home for a few people, it's well worth it. Because right now, the only people in the world on the front lines, bleeding and fighting and suffering and sacrificing in the cause of democracy for freedom's sake are the Ukrainians. America seems perfectly willing to sacrifice everything that for the last 80 years of post-war peace and prosperity that we have worked for in obseisance to this little tin god, this 300 pounds of dog shit and fake tan in a cheap suit with a tie that is too long as he sicks the National Guard against the wishes of the governor of the state of California on the people who had peacefully protested his illegal suppression of due process, or rather suspension of a fundamental constitutional right for the American people of due process of law. Disgusting. Disgusting. Let's see. Now imagine kids having to experience this daily, people with disabilities, your grandparents. Exactly, Courtney. Exactly. You know, what is your job in Ukraine? This is my job in Ukraine, Andreas. This channel serves three distinct purposes: to disambiguate Russian disinformation, to keep Ukraine forefront in people's minds, even as the Trump administration tries to ignore it, and to serve as a kind of synchronicity point, or a place where people who are interested in the cause of democracy in Ukraine can meet other people that are doing things about the cause of democracy in Ukraine and can assist each other. So there's a cross-fertilization here. And I try to encourage that cross-pollination. Hey, Fitzy. The attacks are intended to demoralize, but the practical impact of these attacks is to steal the will of the Ukrainian people against ever living under the yoke of Russian oppression again. Just like the folks in the London Blitz in the 40s wouldn't bow to Adolf and his goose-stepping goons. The Ukrainians have no intention of living under Russian oppression ever again. And they have every intention of freeing their fellows, their fellow countrymen, their fathers, their mothers, their brothers, their sisters, their grandmothers, whoever it is that's trapped inside the temporarily occupied territories. Those 4 million or so Ukrainians will be freed. Crimea is Ukraine. Well, Cynthia, there are only so many hours in the day, and this is the cause that I chose. Corn, you are correct. Ukraine did attack Russia with drones and used Russian truck drivers to transport the drones. They drove them within a few miles of major air bases. The drones were then released, and they destroyed or damaged 41 Russian strategic heavy bombers. Hey, OG Bobby. Let's see here. You can hear that air defense is working. Ukraine isn't just fighting for all of Europe. I believe that Ukraine is fighting for the world. And I absolutely believe that we in the United States would not be suffering Donald Trump if it weren't for Russia. That's my confirmed belief. And I'm working on ways to convince you that it's true too. I am absolutely of the opinion that if Russia can be defeated, and if the Russian money that's currently flowing into the United States and having such a corrosive and corrupting effect on our politics, people like Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance, Thiel, Musk, right? I mean, if there's any doubt in anybody's mind that Elon Musk works for the Kremlin, 3 separate high-level Kremlin accounts have offered him asylum in the last 24 hours. Oh, Clive, Putin definitely does not want peace and wants control. You are not kidding. Was that tonight, Steve, with a V? Odessa Shahed hit a maternity ward? Air raids are much louder in person, Julian. That is the point of this live, pal. That is exactly the point of this live, pal. Let me tell you, in person, they can be really loud. We haven't heard any missiles hit yet. We get an Iskander or 2 in here tonight. You'll know about it. Okay, let's see. You guys have a lot of sidebars going on. That's good. Putin is only buying time, and Trump is doing everything he can to help him. Did you see today Trump asked Lindsey Graham to rewrite the sanctions bill on Russia? Oh, listen to that. Hear that high-pitched whine? That's a Garin. That's the Russian Shahed knockoff. They travel about 140 kilometers an hour. They can carry a packed or shaped charge. These days up to 90 kilograms, if I'm not mistaken. And that charge can feature fragmentation, warhead, right? So it explodes into lots of tiny shrapnel to shred the flesh, or little tungsten balls like a cluster munition that lately have been coated in like a CS gas, some kind of a chemical irritant agent, so that as cleanup crews try to clean up the debris sites where these things happen, they suddenly find themselves having these burning patches of skin, the flesh blistering. I mean, it's really evil. It's really, really evil. Thanks, Pingu. Well, Cody, you know I'm an American. Do you see me as a joke? Am I a joke to you? I think it would be great if UK and Europe had boots on the ground. I think this war would be over very fucking fast. My opinion of Zelensky, I don't get involved in Ukrainian politics. As an outsider looking in, it's my opinion that Zelensky has been just about the best wartime leader that this country could have wanted on the international stage. He has won hearts and minds all over the world. His messaging to the world is brilliant. The way he handled himself when he was ambushed in the White House, never would I ever have been able to handle that. So I can tell you the people here generally love him or hate him. There are as many opinions about him among the Ukrainians, I think, as there are Ukrainians, which frankly is the sign of a healthy democracy. I mean, I never lived in an America where everybody loved the president. Who did you make fun of more than anybody? The president. The fact that Trump is so thin-skinned that nobody can make fun of him tells you that things are bad in the United States. Reaver wants to know, has a second fighter jet been taken out this week? No. 2 additional fighter jets were taken out last night. A MiG-31K, they're the ones that fly the hypersonic Kinzhal missiles, of which Ukraine shot down 4 out of 4 yesterday. And then we think it's an Su-30, which is a multi-role fighter, jet fighter. But it might have been an Su-34, the thaw of the war. But no, 2 more jets overnight last night, and 2 helicopters. An Mi-8 and an Mi-35, if I'm not mistaken. Just getting Putin out of the way is not enough, right? It's not enough to just get Putin out of the way. This isn't just Putin's war. This is Russia's war of aggression. This war has a great deal of support among the Russian people. Yeah, I remember when Ukraine was a part of this USSR too. It's not really that long ago for old people like us. Andreas, my lives are always at midnight Eastern European time. That's 11 Central European time or 10 p.m. London time. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. and 2 p.m. California time, left coast time. This is a special unscheduled live, just because I knew I wasn't going to get any sleep. And I think that there is value in people in other countries hearing the kind of visceral reality of an air raid in real time, which is exactly what you're hearing here. I heard that the Ukrainians hit some fighter bombers today. I think you're probably thinking about the MiG-31 and the Su-30. But maybe there's others too. I'll probably figure it out tomorrow. So Gerwin, that is a great question, actually. There's a lot of talk about Spiderweb 2.0. And Gerwin asked the question, is there any footage of the drone strikes on the trains laden with tanks? And the short answer is no. The longer answer is there is footage that claims to be that, but I have been unable to find it on the originally sourced Telegram channel. Now, I'm not done looking. I'm trying to validate that video now. Or not right now, but you know what I mean. And until I validate it, I don't have any evidence that the so-called Spiderweb 2.0 happened. I've got no evidence that there were grain hoppers full of drones that suddenly opened up and attacked the train that they were part of. I have no evidence of that. We do have evidence that a train was hit. Geolocated footage of some vaporized track sections clearly indicate that a train was attacked somewhere between Tokmak and Melitopol. We also know that the Russians are moving vast amounts of equipment from Crimea and Kherson and Zaporizhia up to Kursk, which is great, right? If the Russians are hollowing out the southern part of the offensive because they're desperate to dislodge the Ukrainians that are stuck in Kursk and Belgorod, that's good news for everybody. So it does look like there was an attack on the train. We think we know where it happened, but there's no evidence to indicate that the drones were hidden inside the train. I guess that's where we're at right now. Ukraine is the leader of the free world these days. You're not wrong. Causing a lot of paranoia on Russian logistics is the class piece from the drone truck operation. Yeah. Russian logistics are really being hit hard as Russia descends into paranoia and chaos. They are so freaked out about the attack on the heavy bombers using those drones and hidden containers that there are lines of trucks lined up for 20 kilometers all over Russia, slowing down the delivery of just-in-time goods and services across the Russian Federation. This in an economy already constrained by the effects of sanctions, interest rates, and inflation. And now that just-in-time economy is grinding to a halt. It could be that the attack on the train, which was real, may have been exaggerated for the purposes of driving that paranoia into Russian rail as well, and making the Russians search every train car twice. I don't know. I am truly confused. Yes, I am. Somebody asked me the other day, a young fella I met at a speaking thing, he asked me for some advice about his girlfriend situation. And I looked right at him and I said, the very moment that I have any advice to give you about women, I will let you know. Like, I don't know shit about shit. Yeah, maternity. We're getting reports that a maternity ward in our maternity hospital in Odessa was hit. It would not be the first time. I mean, if you've seen 20 Days in Mariupol, you saw the Russians consciously shell a maternity hospital. Don is Putin's boy, and Elon and Putin butted heads 3 years ago. Yep. Musk being offered asylum doesn't prove it for me, but Starlink on Russian munitions does. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I would love to see Elon and Trump defect to Russia. That would make my day. I got too much sleep last night, right? Oh, Sammy, can you hear that? Yeah. Sure, Vape Life. Why does Musk need asylum? He needs asylum because Trump is going to deport him. Right? I mean, that's Trump's answer to everything. Make it go away. And he doesn't want to get deported to that El Salvadoran prison. So Trump's office is actually talking about Elon's entire citizenship is based on a lie that he overstayed a visa that he was never punished for back in the 1990s. And therefore, his citizenship can be invalidated. That's what they're saying. That is the real concern. If Musk is allowed to walk, he cannot be allowed to give the Starlink technology to the Russians. He can't be. That cannot be allowed. And that's what they really want. No, if you can hear it whining like that, that's a Garin 1. And they have a gasoline engine, sounds like a 2-cycle engine. The jet-powered drones sound like jets. We had some Garin 2s, which travel up to 600 kilometers an hour, come over the city a couple weeks ago. And they sound just like jets. I thought maybe we were hearing F-16s, but it turned out no. They were the Garin 2s. Just 2 more weeks. I have the deadline in my head for sanctions on Russia. It's never. Yeah, Trump is trying to weaken the tariffs bill. He's asked Lindsey Graham to rewrite it. Has Russia used biological weapons? Not to the best of my knowledge. If they haven't, I mean, why not use biological weapons? You know why not. Because they're alive. Boy, that's really loud. It's rare that we have mobile defense forces that close to us here. They're usually a little bit farther out on the bridge. But they're in the neighborhood. So the thing about biological weapons, they're alive. We just went through a pandemic, for crying out loud. Now, the Ukrainians use some biological weapons. Not really. There was a bunch of Russians about 2 years ago who started digging a trench and ran into the bodies of cows that had been buried after they died of anthrax. Everybody died of anthrax. So, yeah. Oh, Tatanka, thank you. I need 2 live supporters for Thursday and Friday. That is very true. So if anybody wants to sponsor a live, PayPal's in the description. Yeah, even if you like a president, poking fun is a healthy thing to do. They're not kings. They're not gods. They're not absolute rulers. I had lots of laughs at Biden's expense, but I still had a lot of respect for President Biden. I do not have any respect for Tangerine Palpatine. Peter, for people who do not support Zelensky in Ukraine, what is it that they do not like? Jeff, there's as many answers to that question as there are people in Ukraine. My one friend, Katya, said, because he keeps taking our men away from us. Well, I mean, okay, yeah. What else are you going to do in the circumstances? So, I mean, it's, then there are other folks who feel that he doesn't prioritize the military. Now, as far as I can see, he prioritizes the military pretty well. But that is a complaint. You know, Jeff, like I said, there's probably as many reasons as there are people. Biden's admin was doing a better job, but they didn't do a great job. Oh, Roy, look, you made that very point. But Biden shouldn't have slow rolled the weapons. You're goddamn right he shouldn't have. Why are we still getting deliveries from Biden that Trump is able to intercept and redirect to the Middle East? Why? Now, Revere has an interesting question here. So are we close to controlling the air? Yes, I believe the Ukrainians are. I believe they are. Right now, look, I do want to say I am not a military expert. Not at all. I'm not former military. I don't know shit about shit. But I listen to those people. And I take the consensus opinion and present it as just that, knowing that experts can be wrong, right? So when I say to you that the consensus opinion around the developing capabilities of the Ukrainian Air Force is a capacity for close air support for ground operations and maneuver warfare, and that is a big deal, I absolutely believe it, and I see evidence of it. The evidence right now is in Tetkino, where the Ukrainian F-16s are dropping glide bombs on Russian positions, softening them up, and then the Ukrainian infantry is going in and cleaning them out. And we're seeing that not merely as a one-off this week, but as an ongoing combined arms maneuvers operation to encircle the garrison in Tetkino. And by all accounts, it is working. Yes, Israel did supply some Patriots. Could be as many as 8. They retired 8 Patriots, and those are supposed to be here now. That could be why last night's interception rates were so high. Last night was another record-breaking drone attack, right? Almost 499 aerial targets, almost 500 aerial targets. 20 of them missiles, the rest drones. The interception rates were unbelievable. 95% for the missiles, 96% for the drones. And I can't help but wonder if that had something to do with the sudden appearance of 8 new Patriot batteries sent by the Israelis. We don't know, but it could well have been. Hey, Chef Deb. I'm on the horn tonight because I wanted to give people a chance to maybe hear a little bit about what an air raid is really like. With a few more AWACS. Oh, that's the other thing I didn't mention. That air superiority does seem right, like the hitting of the Iskander launchers. That could be, it may not be, but it could be, facilitated by the recent appearance of the Swedish 340s, like a Swedish early warning and detection radar plane, like a Swedish AWAC, right? And we believe that 1, if not 2 of those were recently delivered to Ukraine. The recent success with frontline dogfights, right? We saw the first dogfight of an F-16 take out an Su-35. The frontline destruction, or not frontline, but rear destruction of Iskander missile launchers, which is the first time that's happened in this conflict. The combined arms maneuvers and close air support we see in Tetkino. All of that may well be facilitated by the appearance of the Swedish AWACS. Yes. So, Alex, I only just found out about Orban's comments. I haven't had a chance to look at them in context or read them thoroughly, so I don't have a response for you. I'm sorry. I just don't know. Hey, New Zealand. Happy Tuesday. I am totally exhausted, Thomas Aldridge. But let me ask you, Hear that? How am I supposed to get any sleep with this going on? So I thought maybe I would use my insomnia. Maybe I would use my insomnia to some good. If I have to be up like this, maybe I can use this opportunity to help folks understand what this is really like over here. You hear that? There's a lot of drones in the air. If they can get drones into the center of Kyiv, there's a lot of drones in the air. We're not old, we're well seasoned. Speak for yourself. My knees are telling me I'm old every day. Hey, Wanpa, what are you doing, buddy? Wanpa lives in my neighborhood. He's right over here. He's just a couple blocks away. So I guess you're up too, huh, bud? Thanks, Lisa. T-Bone, an F-16 did take out an Su-35, may have been with the help of a Swedish AWAC. How badly will the column of armor on the train affect the summer offensive on the ground? Don't know, because it's not even clear how much armor was destroyed there. Like, we really don't know what happened there. So there's no way to analyze what its impact will be. It's a special edition. Is TikTok also blocking any pro-Ukrainian news content creators? I haven't seen any videos from. No, it's a special episode. I came back on at 2 a.m. I went off at 1 and came back on at 2. Haven't seen any videos. You know, I don't know. TikTok is very peculiar. It seems to go in phases. For 3 months, boy, I was shadow banned. I couldn't get 600 views on a video. Now I'm back to normal. It comes and goes. I don't know what to say. I definitely think that there are elements, whether it's TikTok or those who have figured out how to manipulate the algorithm. There are elements who want to suppress pro-Ukrainian, pro-democracy, pro-West propaganda channels like mine. I think that that's a real thing. I can't figure out how it works or what the pattern is or how they do it. Impossible to sleep today, Wampa. Yeah, it's a loud one, isn't it, pal? It's tough on the civilians. You are not kidding. Shit, I wish I had some maple syrup. Oh, it's so hard to get maple syrup here. Ugh. I just had a hankering for pancakes. Or French toast, maybe. Hey, Jay. Thanks, Gabe Brennan. They are moving gear from Crimea. That's fantastic. Kursk is still working. Kursk is still working. Yes, it is. Yeah, Cam, there's no evidence to indicate that that actually happened. I don't have any evidence to indicate that grain trailers were used. My pleasure, Gerwin. Kilafee 7. We're in the middle of an air attack in Kyiv. So I thought since I couldn't sleep, I thought I would jump on and share it. Kirsch Bridge won't last long. No, it won't. Kirsch Bridge. Searching the trucks alone will cut 3 weeks off the summer offensive. You could be right. Russian supplies, manufacturing, supply routes are being hammered by Ukraine. Yes, sir, they are. Psychology wins wars. Logistics wins wars. Oh, I don't like that. Have we, U.S., resumed transfer of arms and intelligence or not? That's loud. So was David. The U.S. never stopped really transferring arms and data except for 3 days. When Trump ordered it, right? Since then, arms deliveries have been resumed of Biden promises. We are still transferring what Biden promised 4 months after Biden's out of office. Trump has pledged nothing. Trump won't even sell Ukraine $50 billion in weapons, which is a cash infusion that the economy really needs as one company after another abandons the United States because of Trump's insane tariff war. So the stuff that Biden promised is mostly getting delivered. Trump has pinched some of it. And intelligence is being shared to the best of my knowledge. Odessa City, as best I know, Michael. I'm with you, Lars. The ultra-wealthy cabal is getting larger in the world. Yeah, because we keep letting them steal everything. Tax billionaires out of existence. That's my hashtag. Tax billionaires out of... Nobody needs $1 billion. Enough is enough. Trump will never face reality. No one should have Elon Musk on their side, and you shouldn't cheer for anybody to have Elon on your side. Elon is an amoral, drug-addled idiot who just takes credit for the work other people do. He's not a genius. He's not an innovator. He's a fraud, just like his buddy the Donald. I'm with you, Reaver. Take Starlink down. Have you heard that Renault are starting... Oh, this stupid thing. I hate this thing. Have you heard that Renault are starting up a drones production factory inside Ukraine? Kevin Harding, I have not. That is news to me. I wish I knew how dependent Ukraine is on Starlink. I don't know. I don't know. There was some indication that they were getting off it. In fact, Defense Secretary Umerov said, we have an alternative to Starlink that works and is already implemented. And he said that about 4 months ago. But as far as I know, they're still using Starlink in the field. So whatever the alternative is, they have not rolled it out everywhere, if it even exists. The airfield that was attacked with the 2 Russian fighter bombers lost, was that drones? So, Roy, that's an interesting question. So the attack happened at the Sevelovskaya Air Base in Nizhny Novgorod, which is about 70 kilometers east of Moscow. And the reports were of drones in the vicinity, drones in the air, drones attacked the base. But one outlet, I forget now just who it was. It might have been, no, it wasn't such a Mimas. I can't remember. One outlet seemed to give the credit for the attack to some partisans. And what's interesting about the Sevelovskaya Air Base is that it's got a repair shop. They do repairs there on the MiG-31K and the Su-30. And so it's possible that these 2 planes that were struck last night, destroyed, were in for repairs. And they made easy targets because they couldn't be scrambled. They couldn't get into the air. They were down on the ground being repaired. So we're fog of war, baby. We don't really know. But the Ukrainians are taking credit for 2 fighter bombers at Sevastopol last night. Oh, I'm sure drones are attacking in Russia too, but we can't hear them from here. Yeah, Maggie May, it's close. Thanks, Donald. I am in Kyiv, Dasha. I'm as safe as anybody in this country. Tell you that right now. And nobody deserves to be any safer than anybody else. Isn't Musk scared Putin will take out his Starlink satellites? First of all, you're giving Putin way too much credit to think that he could even do that, at least in any meaningful way. And that wouldn't be the concern that I would have if I were Musk. Russia needs Starlink. They want Musk to defect so that he brings Starlink with him. Anthrax karma. You know there is a theory that Irish Neolithic stone circles mark sites of anthrax. No, I am unaware of that theory. Oh, you're not my Jay. No, that's not a machine gun Pingu. That's an autocannon or a Gepard. Oh, I saw it, Spencer. I saw it. It was sad. You know, it was like being in Medusa's disco, where all the raver kids are on K and can't move. Literally pissing their pants. Right, Altered Carbon, of course we did. I don't find anything funny about Trump. Trump is the most humorless person I have ever seen in my life. I'm in UK, we poke fun at the royal family. Sure you do. I mean, look at them. I reckon the anti-drone missiles were a year's supply. Could be. Reaver, thank you, Reaver. That eye threw me off. That was loud, huh? Are there any more Air Force upgrades in the pipeline? Radar, aways, fighters, bombers, etc. The Ukrainians are owed a bunch of F-16s yet from the Netherlands. And I believe that they're being, retrofitted and sent as soon as possible. But if I'm not mistaken, there's still 16 yet to come. Could have been as many as 8 Patriot batteries. Now, some of them might have been sent for parts. We don't know. But Ukraine could have more than doubled their Patriots overnight, yes. Well, the shooting last night was unbelievable. 95, 96% interception rate. Like, really impressive. The F-16s were modified for Ukraine. The nature of those modifications were classified. I don't know them. It sure is, Ethelred. I would make silver birch syrup if I had any property and some birch trees, but I don't have any of that. Hello, April. They have the best bread in this country. Although, curiously enough, it is very difficult to find a decent hamburger roll. And I am dying for a potato roll. Oh, listen to this. The main reason why people abandon your live shows is because you lies a lot. There's no balance. Well, you are right about that, because you know why? Oh, somebody muted Daniel. Good. You know why there's no balance? Because there's not two sides to this conflict. There is one genocidal lunatic in the Kremlin who has put his country on a course of self-destruction at the expense of its neighbors. And that's why Russia doesn't have a side in this. There is no balance. There is good and there is evil. We haven't had this kind of moral clarity in a conflict since World War II. Trump, it doesn't matter what Trump hears or what Trump doesn't hear. Hey, Mrs. Toad. It doesn't matter what Trump hears or what he doesn't hear. He'll never hear anything. He is a creature of his own unenlightened short-term self-interest, driven by greed. No, I'm an American. And I don't have any Ukrainian ancestry. I don't have any connection to this country, other than a deep belief that these guys are on the right side of history, and they're the only ones currently bleeding and dying for democracy in the world. And I thought maybe I could give them a little help if I came over. There are more drones heading to Kyiv. So last night's attack seemed to come in two waves of about 250 each. And my guess is that's probably the maximum launching capability at any one time. I sound communistic? I sound communistic. That's a riot, since I have a degree in economics and I am a firm believer in free market capitalism, and I understand that the greatest engine for ever generating wealth is American democracy. So I'm not sure that you understand what communistic is, pal. I don't want to nationalize anything with Trump in the White House. That's a bad idea. Russia offered Musk asylum 3 separate occasions in the last 24 hours through 3 different officials. Hey, Tuzix. Has there been a slowing down of tactical air attacks on the front line since Spiderweb? No, Reaver. On the contrary, frontline air attack, pardon me, hold on. Wait a second. Because frontline air attacks use different fighter bombers than the missiles that are coming in here right now. It's the heavy bomber fleet that was hit. And it's the heavy bomber fleet that attacks civilians at night. And for that, the heavy bomber attacks, there has been no let-up in action. On the contrary, it has increased. It's as if Russia, with its now more increasingly limited resources, wants to make sure the world knows that it can still carry out these attacks. They've doubled down. Thanks, Jay. I've never made potato bread myself. I should. Would I like some maple syrup from upstate New York? I would, if only it made sense to send it here. It doesn't. Believe me, shipping anything here is a mistake. It doesn't arrive. It gets lost. It won't pass through customs. Certainly food products are a real problem. So as much as I appreciate the thought, this is not a normal... There's no FedEx delivery here. That's not a thing. There's no UPS. That's not a thing here. You lies a lot. I lies a lot. I lies a lot. If I was going to lie a lot, I'd tell you you was beautiful. That is right outside the window, Mrs. Toad. No, Andrea, the best thing that anybody can do for me is join the Patreon. $5 a month. Kick me $5 a month on the Patreon. You help to ensure that I will stay here. And it doesn't affect your charitable giving to Ukraine. Doesn't affect your other charitable giving. $5 a month will help keep me in Ukraine. Yeah, it's bad outside, Ruth Ann. That's why I got on here so that you could hear it. So that people who are safe in their homes, in their living rooms, in the West, could have a better understanding of what it's like to be here in Kyiv. Well, Nate Dogg, you got to understand the Colombians are madmen. They want to be on the front line. They want to be unaliving Russians. And so naturally, they have the highest rate of casualties. That's a real thing, dude. They're crazy, those guys. They are absolutely nutso. And they want to be in the thick of it. How long can Russia keep up this scale of attacks? A week or two? So Ethelred, I was thinking about it. If they produce 5,000... Well, they produce 2,700 attack drones and 2,700 decoy drones a month. So roughly 5,000 a month. Let's call it 5,000 a month to make the math easy. And let's not make a distinction between decoys and drones. So at 5,000 a month, sending 500 a night, they can do that 10 nights of the month. So this will be night 4 of June already. We're 40% through what they can possibly do, I think. Now, that doesn't take into account should they raid their strategic stockpile, because everybody always keeps a strategic stockpile, right? So many drones put away that you know you have and you can call on anytime. How big that strategic stockpile would depend on how long they can keep this up. Oh, yeah, the Kerch Bridge will come down when it's time. Oh, Ukraine's 200 years older than that, Chef Deb. Ukraine already had a history when Volodymyr the Great took it over in 988 AD. It took 4 months to send a card to 5 different people in various cities in Ukraine. Only one was received. Renvox, that sounds about right. So really, guys, anybody who wants to do anything for me, united24.gov.ua is the place where you can donate to Ukraine. And then join my Patreon for $5 a month. Kick me $5. If I could get another 100 people to join the Patreon, I would have no money worries in Ukraine. I could stop hitting Cynthia up for grocery money once a month, which happens usually right around the time I have to pay the rent. Or sponsor a live. The PayPal's in the description. Send $50. The live is you get to sponsor the live entirely. Or if $50 is too much, send what you can. And when 2 or 3 people send in enough to make 50, we do a shared live. Hey, Chris Carter. Speaking of friends of the channel, there's Chris Carter, who has been a great friend of this channel for a long time. And you know what? I'm going to make Chris the sponsor of this live. Chris Carter, this is for you, pal. Just in honor of being there so much over the last 2 years. Thank you so very much. I literally probably would not still be here in Ukraine if it weren't for Chris showing up in the early days. I think you're right, Roy Daniels, about the Kirsch Bridge. Thanks, Mrs. Toad. Yeah, the Ukrainians and the Russians do not have the same religion. We should be very clear about that. That is not a thing here. This is a country that has freedom of religion. Within easy walking distance of my place, there is a Catholic church, a Ukrainian Orthodox church, a Russian Orthodox church, a Mormon tabernacle. The synagogue is over here. And there is not a, what's a Muslim church called? Why can't I think of that right now? But there are those in Kyiv, just not within easy walking distance to me. How far away do you think the drones from Russia are launching? So the drones from Russia are launched roughly 1/3 of them from the Kursk region, 1/3 of them from the Rostov-on-Don region, and then another third of them from Crimea. So a couple hundred miles from here. Thanks, Russell and Isis. ISIS? Oh, no, Russell Landis, sorry. Thanks, pal. Proud to be a sponsor for this late night edition. Thank you, Chris Carter. Thanks for everything. Mosque. Why couldn't I think of mosque, Renvox? So easy. Mosque, not Musk. I have Musk on the brain. Mrs. Toad, I don't know what's up with Orban. I didn't see that today, so I got to take a look at that. Reaver, as I understand it, Russia does still get drones from Iran because it doesn't feel like the 5,000 it makes a month are enough. So it's still bringing some in. Now, what it's bringing in is unclear, but it is bringing in more from Iran as well, we believe. Father Girls, there's some pinned videos at the top of the profile if you want to take a look at those. Because it's 3:17 a.m. and I am kind of tired. I don't know that I'm going to get any sleep, but I think I should try. I'm going to call it a night, I think. But I am in Kyiv, Ukraine. I have been here for 2 years, 3 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day. I spend all my time trying to communicate to my fellow Americans and folks in the West mostly the importance of the continued defense of Ukraine. And I work trying around Ukraine, trying to build a healthy English-speaking ecosystem. Because I think when this war is over, Ukrainians who can speak English will be in high demand inside the EU. And they will have opportunities that non-English-speaking Ukrainians will not have. Well, it looks like we've got a break in the action now. The first wave of drones and missiles seems to have been dealt with. Hopefully, it'll be quiet for the next hour or so, and I'll be able to get a little sleep. And I am on the live normally at 5 Eastern Time, U.S., Monday through Friday. That's 10 p.m. London time. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for this impromptu late night live, our air alert in real time. I hope that the experience of that brought it home to you, made it more real to you, more viscerally aware. Hey, Rocco. Hey, Kath Brown. Thanks, Mrs. Toad. Thanks so much. Okay, guys, battery's about to die. I'm going to call it a night. Later. Yeah, laddie, it's pretty fucking terrifying. No two ways about it. Good night, everybody.